This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. What I'm looking at today is the 14th episode of Love, Death, and Robots called Zima Blue. And I have to admit that this episode initially I thought was pretty shallow and trite. So I watched it again. And on the second watch, I think it's quite the opposite. It's actually almost profound. And here's how I see that episode. Now keep in mind, this is just an interpretation. My interpretation will differ from yours. Maybe you think, as I first thought, there's nothing to this episode. And that's entirely valid. But I think if you look carefully at it, you'll find it's a lot more deeper, more profound than you actually think it is. So let's look at it. Spoilers, mild spoilers. The episode revolves around an artist called Zima Blue. And he's painted these incredible paintings that are remarkable. And he's just stuff of legend. And that's an important point. Because remember, the earlier tales of his life are given from the perspective of the reporter. In other words, it's what's called an unreliable narrator. She doesn't know what Zima Blue's life is like. She only knows what she hears, what she reads in some places. So she has no real idea what his life is like. And she gives us this remarkable portrayal of an artist who is so driven to create that he's altered his own structure, his literal body, to stand the elements of other worlds. So he'd go there and gaze upon them and create and bring that into his art. That's the fake version of Zima Blue. The actual version we learn later in the episode. He started off as simply a pool cleaning robot. That was it, and that's all he knew. His owner liked that, the rhythm of it working. She just found it very interesting. So what she did was she upgraded that pool cleaning robot. And over years and years and years of upgrades, he eventually achieved what looks like sentience, but it wasn't. But eventually, he became independent after all these upgrades. Now the thing is, and he became an artist as well. But the thing is, think about the nature of art. Art is creation. Art is destruction. You can't have one without the other. Can a computer draw? Sure it can. But it's almost like a Xerox. There's no passion involved with that. It's art only in the strictest definition of the word. Of drawing with colors or painting or whatever. It's not art. Art comes from passion. It comes from the heart. It comes from the soul. Those are the things that make art. And Zima Blue had no heart. He had no soul. Why is this? Because he's a machine. At least he didn't at first. In the episode, there appeared an object in his art. It was just a blue square. Zima Blue. The same color as the tiles he used to clean when he was just a pool cleaning robot. But a Zima Blue square began to appear in his work. Very small, very insignificant at first. And it grew and grew and grew. What was that square? Or rather, what was the significance of that square? That square was Thanatos, at least by my reckoning. That square was the Thanatos, the death urge, the idea that all things must end. It's like, an idea of this is like if you're standing on a high structure and you look down and you want to jump. There's that, most living things, well, I should say most people have that urge. I have it myself sometimes. I'm not afraid of heights, but nonetheless, there's always, if I look down from a high height, there's always that urge. Thanatos. Thanatos is the Greek god of death. In any case, the Thanatos, the death urge, was growing. First small, then a little larger, then it began to dominate his work. This is a great thing in a sense of the story because it's a sign of sentience. It's a sign that he's not just a Xerox machine running off copies of things. He's not just taking ideas and regurgitating them. He's creating, and in his creation is his end, and he sees it. But he doesn't run from that. He embraces that. Why does he embrace it? Because the end makes him truly sentient. Living forever is not a human thing. Living forever is beyond comprehension. And that's not what Zima Blue wanted. Remember, he modeled his body. He built himself, essentially. After a point, his owners added on to him, and he became capable of more things. But he built the version we see in the episode, he built himself. He modeled himself on humans. And humans are temporary. Humans are ephemeral. They live their time, and then they pass away. Zima Blue needed this, i.e. the Thanatos. He saw death coming, and he welcomed it because it takes him, it proves, it validates him as a living being. And that's all he ever wanted. He wanted to live. He wanted to feel. And through the Thanatos, through the death urge, that's what happened. He became sentient. But to be sentient means you don't live forever. So he died. Now keep in mind something. He didn't die in the sense of a human, in which case typically the body stops functioning. He turned off his upper functions, and all that was left was where he began. A simple pool cleaning robot. That's it. He died. Everything that was Zima Blue died. All that was left was just essentially bones. The pool cleaning robot was not Zima Blue. Zima Blue is literally years, decades. And I don't know how long, the episode doesn't do well with time. You don't know how long he's actually been around. But from the beginning, and from his own story, I get the feeling he's been around at least a few lifetimes. But in any case, he sees his end. He embraces his end, because in that ending, there is humanity. There is sentience. There is everything that he ever sought. He's become human. As I said, once I got that concept, once I got that understanding of this episode, it's truly freaking brilliant. Your mileage may vary, of course, but if you didn't like Zima Blue first watch, rewatch it. I think you might come to a different view. This is Brian with ScreenFiles.com and Review. Peace.